normal wear and tear on a system, all the parts are going to be just a little bigger and just a little more expensive. First off, I guess I would say it costs a lot more to buy a boiler that's bigger than you need. But also consider that if I buy a boiler that's too big, I also need a feed system that's bigger. I need a bigger gas service. I need a bigger electrical service. Like, it snowballs to way more than just, to upsize the boiler 10% only costs a few percentage points more, but you're also going to upsize everything else through the system to handle that now larger boiler. So that can be a lot more than what you would think to just upsize the boiler a little bit more. But it can, prevent operational issues as the facility grows and as the process requires more steam. So it's kind of it's a trade-off that a lot of people have to deal with. The other thing is with a larger boiler is going to be more expensive maintenance. We have more refractory and more tubes and bigger burners and bigger gas valves and bigger blowers and bigger motors. And so, normal wear and tear on a system, all the parts are going to be just a little bigger and just a little more expensive. So oversizing also costs more money over time, even if everything else is equal. If I have a boiler that's grossly oversized, then I could lead to short cycling. So that's where the boiler comes on, and even though it's on low fire, it achieves set point very quickly and shuts off. A boiler really likes to be hot and online and steady, right? And so if I have a boiler that's turning on and off several times an hour all day, 365 days a year, or even if it's just winter, 180 days a year, right? Then that's a lot of cycles on those igniters and those motor starters and all those valves and all those dampers and all those actuators and all that refractory, thermal cycling the refractory and the tubes and all of that. Versus if that boiler is just online and stays online and everything's an even temperature and kind of stays there, I don't get a lot of thermal cycles and things kind of trying to pull themselves apart and a lot of things shaking and shrinking and growing and shrinking and growing. So having fewer thermal cycles and fewer operational cycles on all of that moving equipment is going to treat the equipment much better. So if we're unsure of load, sometimes there are some tactics we can do to maybe supply two different sized boilers so we can right size the boiler to the load. Another thing to think about would be just radiant loss, right? If I have a larger boiler, then it's got more casing surface area, so it's losing more heat to the environment. And so I'm going to have a higher radiant loss. I'm just going to waste more energy because I have a bigger boiler that's sitting there hot all the time. Low fire on most boilers is less efficient than mid-firing range, right? Because at low fire, in order to get a good mix, a lot of burners will add a significant amount of excess air. So especially when we get into like commercial boilers, commercial heating boilers, they may advertise a 10-to-1 or a 20-to-1 or a 40-to-1 turn down on that burner, but what they aren't telling you is that to get that high of a turn down, they leave the air the same and just reduce gas. So I'm putting in a lot more air than is necessary for combustion. That's an inefficient place for that burner to run because I'm heating up all that extra air and then sending it out the flue. So we really don't want a burner to run at low fire all the time. We certainly don't want it to run down in the lower ends of the range where my excess air percentage starts to climb really high because that's going to lower my efficiency pretty substantially. The other thing is at that low fire end, sometimes that flame is just a little too close to the burner head and you'll start to run through burner heads and things like that. So it's just, again, the boilers kind of like to lope along in that mid-range. Not that boilers have minds and really like things, but the point is you have fewer maintenance issues when that boiler is well loaded. Maybe not at 100%, but definitely also not at 10%. I usually tell people we want to size it so that the boilers are ideally running most of their life in this like 40 to 80% range, or maybe 30 to 70% range, that mid-range of the boiler. Usually it likes pretty well. And then the last would be at low fire, if you don't have a VFD, then that fan is really spinning hard against a shut damper that's choking back that air. So you're going to find that your air control isn't very good. Your gain kind of stinks there. A little adjustment in that damper is going to make a big difference in the amount of air that burner gets. So you'll have kind of inconsistent combustion at that low end sometimes, or just really inefficient combustion at that low end. But also that fan is using a lot more energy than it needs. If I'm using, if I'm at 10-to-1 turn down and I'm using 1/10 of the air, if I can slow that fan down even to half speed, I'm going to use about 1/8 of the electricity because of the fan affinity laws. You can go YouTube or Google that, fan affinity laws, and it'll teach you all about how using a speed control on a fan will make low fire a lot more efficient. But certainly if you don't have a speed control and you're cycling that boiler and running it at low fire, not really very good for the equipment. You're going to see higher maintenance costs. That's why oversizing your boiler is not always a great idea.